carried. And my intention now is to continue to go through the significant agenda still in front of us in the order in which it's set. So that brings us now to the Infrastructure, Transport and Environment Committee, item 16.9. Pauline, I'll get you to speak to this if I can, by way of introduction. So this is item 16, 9 Cathedral Square.
Okay. So this is the structures on roads proposal. And I just want the councillors to recognise that there's a lot in this report that doesn't relate to the structures on the roads, so try and overlook that and not get clouded by it and stay focused. The address of this building is 9 Cathedral Square, the southwest corner, and it's a beautiful braided rivers building. You've probably all seen the picture of it. Considered an architecturally significant building in post-quake Christchurch. But this report and recommendation is not about the building. It already has its consent. This is about the north-facing frontage of the building only. It's the 7 supporting pillars which give the building its name. And these pillars are intended to be placed on the public realm, the land in the square. And in this report, that land is named the legal road. So the columns are 600 by 600 each, and they'll be placed 3 metres into the road space from the property boundary. There's also some foundation encroachment under the ground and underground services which will need to be relocated. This is all at the cost of the builder and the owner. So the recommendation is to grant a 35-year lease over the space required for those pillars. If you look at 5.8, you'll see another option considered was to stop the road, but that was considered too complex, too time-consuming and too expensive. So staff have recommended to use the structures on roads and deed of licence instead. This has been went out for consultation, 36 responses. There were 2 strongly did not support it. At the committee we had 3 deputations. We had the very Reverend Lawrence Kimberley, who made a deputation in support, and 2 against. That was Ross Gray from the Civic Trust and Mark Gerard from the Historic Places Canterbury. They cited the protection of the cruciform shape of Cathedral Square and that this would detract from the heritage value. This building would detract from that shape and heritage value, and suggested it should be scaled back. They also questioned why it was not publicly notified. They were concerned about the space under the veranda being effectively privatised. They also had concerns the canopy would impact on the 3 lime trees. Regarding the trees, there's an arborist response on page 201, and the trees, to be noted, will be managed by the City Council. They will need some trimming back. They'll be managed by the City Council arborists, but the financial cost will be borne by the landowner, and that's in perpetuation. So all that ongoing cost. So the building has obtained resource consent, and the heritage issues which were raised by the deputations were covered there. Jenny May's report on page 246, she's provided a heritage assessment, and she particularly supported the canopied veranda, particularly for its historic fit, because most of the buildings in the square historically had these verandas. And she states that the canopy and columns will not have a more than minor effect on the heritage values, form and fabric of Cathedral Square. And also our own urban design panel on page 239 is okay with the columns encroachment on the public land because the encroachment areas remain publicly accessible, and considers the Maltese cross is retained and the glazing actually enhances it, which is part of the building. So the majority of supportive submissions, there were strong supporting comments on the beauty and the architectural design of this building and how it will add a lot to the square. We also covered the issue of creating a precedent, which was a good thing to discuss, and the staff response was that each application is considered on an individual case by the RMA. So the committee considered the deputations, the consultation feedback, the attached reports, and unanimously supported the staff recommendation to grant a 35-year lease over the space for the columns, and agreed that the artistic merit of this building more than justifies the public space issue.
Thank you. All right, so again, a little bit like matters we were dealing with earlier in the meeting, it's important to understand that this is a relatively narrow part of a wider proposal that we're dealing with today. So in that context, are there any questions on this? And actually, do we have someone that we've got to answer questions if necessary as well? Great. So questions and answers, Dion.
Yeah, so just a question around the structure of the agreement. Does this is this structure of giving a 35-year lease enough, or is the developer okay with that enough? Because obviously around them being able to get finance and stuff like that may hinge on some things. Hey?
Yes, they were comfortable with the proposal.
Yes. They are?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant, that's cool. That's all.
Happy to move.
Okay,
Oh,
any
can I
further
second it?
questions? Yep, so Pauline's moving, Dion's seconding. No further questions though? All right, so debate, comments, Tim.
Yeah, thank you. I think if this is going to set a precedent, it's fantastic, because remember what was there, the ANZ building, which was an absolute pig of a building. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life, coming to our square and seeing these ugly buildings that did not match up. It was ridiculous. So I think this is wonderful. Thank you for the work you've done. Cheers.
Thank you. Aaron.
Yeah, I'll just follow up on Tim's ugly building philosophy there. If you look in the picture in our report, the one behind the old post office really takes the cake.
It won an
But
award.
for the ugliest building. This is going to be stunning for the square, and I'm just going to point out, I've got an old photo here of the United Services Hotel with its bullnose veranda and its extended front out into the square. As you can see, there is a long history of this, and I look forward to seeing this new sensational looking structure in our square. I don't call it a building, it's a structure.
All right, thank you. Dion.
Yeah, when I first found out about this building with Sugaroo Barn and out at the Warren Mahane, whatever it is, Mahane, that's the one. Building, how do you say it? Mani, sorry, it's been a long day. Moaning,
not over
whatever,
yet.
everybody's moaning. Anyway, I was very excited about the prospect of this coming into Christchurch Central. It was going to be, and it will be, a pillar that really brings people from overseas, and what the business and the owners are looking to do behind the meaning of the building is going to be very exciting. So I'm very excited to see this finally get done and give some certainty to the developers to get this started.
Thank you. Pauline.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too, actually, and with Turanga there and the other south east corner with the Spark building coming along, this one, it's just going to be, it's going to really wake up the square big time. It's what we really need, and the submissions in favour were overwhelmingly supportive of looking forward to this being a world-class attraction of a building, and I think it will be too. So, the public realm is not going to be impinged in any way by these pillars. You'll be able to walk through them, around them, under them. So, and as Aaron said, that's historically been part of the square forever, so no issues with it at all. In fact, looking forward to it. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, this is enabling, it provides certainty, and it gives rise to the excitement that people have talked about, so I'm happy to support it. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? That's carried. Thank you.